Everyone is searching for happiness, chasing it like it's something to be found somewhere out there, hidden in success, relationships, money, or recognition. But the truth about happiness is that it's not something you find, it's something you create. It's not a destination waiting for you at the end of your achievements. It's a state of being that begins within you, right where you are, with what you already have. So many people spend their lives believing happiness will come when they get the job, when they fall in love, when they fix everything that's wrong. But when never really arrives, because the mind that keeps searching for happiness outside of itself never stops searching. The truth is, happiness isn't the next moment, it's in this one. It's in the small things, the unnoticed things, the ordinary moments you rush through every day. Happiness lives in appreciation, in presence, in gratitude. It's the quiet joy of being alive, even when life is imperfect. Happiness isn't about escaping pain or avoiding struggle. It's about finding meaning in them. It's not about pretending everything is okay. It's about learning to be okay even when things aren't. Real happiness doesn't mean you never feel sadness or disappointment. It means you understand that those emotions are part of being human. You can feel hurt and still have hope. You can experience loss and still be grateful. You can be uncertain and still trust life. Happiness doesn't. Erase pain. It gives you the strength to move through it. The truth about happiness is that it's built, not bought. It comes from your thoughts, your perspective, and your choices. It's choosing to focus on what's right instead of what's wrong. It's choosing to forgive, to let go, to be kind to yourself and to others. It's not something that just happens. It's something you practice every day. The more you train your mind to see beauty, the more beauty you find. The more you focus on what you have, the less you need. Happiness grows where gratitude lives. Another truth about happiness is that it's not constant, and that's okay. You're not supposed to feel happy all the time. Life moves in cycles. Emotions rise and fall like waves. Happiness comes and goes, just like sadness does. But even when happiness fades, peace can remain. Peace is deeper than happiness. It's the foundation beneath it, the quiet, knowing that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. Chasing constant happiness only makes you miserable because you start believing that feeling anything less means something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong. You're human. Every emotion you feel has a purpose. Comparison steals happiness faster than anything else. The moment you start measuring your life against someone else's, you lose sight of your own blessings. You begin to believe happiness looks like what others have, but everyone's path is different. The truth is, nobody has it all figured out. Everyone is fighting their own silent battles, no matter how perfect their life looks from the outside. Happiness comes from acceptance, accepting your journey, your timing, your imperfections. When you stop trying to live someone else's story and start embracing your own, you begin to feel lighter, freer, more at peace. Happiness also grows through connection, real connection. Not the kind that comes from validation or approval, but from authenticity. When you allow yourself to be genuine, when you show up as you are without masks or fear, you create space for real love, real friendship, real belonging. Happiness thrives where honesty lives. It's not about impressing others, it's about expressing yourself fully and freely. Sometimes the reason happiness feels so far away is because you've tied it to conditions that constantly change. You've attached it to outcomes, to people, to possessions. But everything external is temporary. The only lasting source of happiness is within you. It's the peace that comes from knowing you're enough, even when you don't have everything you want. It's the quiet confidence that you can face whatever comes because you faced things before and survived. Happiness also isn't loud. It doesn't always look like laughter, excitement, or big moments. Sometimes it's silent. It's a deep breath after a long day, a moment of stillness and chaos, a small victory that nobody else sees. It's peace in your heart. Even when your world is uncertain, it's being able to say, I'm grateful for today, even when it's imperfect. Happiness isn't about everything going your way. It's about seeing something good in every situation, no matter how small. The truth about happiness is that it's a practice of awareness. It's choosing to be present instead of lost in the past or anxious about the future. It's learning to slow down and notice the sunlight through your window, the sound of laughter, the warmth of a hug, the beauty in a simple moment. The more you notice, the more alive you feel. In the end, happiness isn't something to chase. It's something to allow. It's already inside you, waiting beneath the noise of fear, doubt, and expectation. When you quiet the mind and open the heart, happiness finds you. It's not hiding in tomorrow or buried in what's missing. It's here, right now, in this breath, in this moment, in you. So stop searching for happiness as if it's lost. It was never gone. It lives within you, quietly, patiently, waiting for you to see it. Happiness begins the moment you realize you already have everything you need to feel whole. It's not about finding a perfect life. It's about finding peace within an imperfect one. And when you finally understand that, you'll stop chasing happiness and start living it. Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you create. It's not hiding somewhere out there, waiting for the right person or the right moment to unlock it. It begins within you, quietly, in the way you think, the way you see yourself, and the way you choose to experience life. Most people spend their lives chasing happiness, believing it lies in something they don't yet have. They think happiness will come when they reach a certain goal, buy a certain thing, or meet a certain person. But every time they get what they were chasing, the feeling fades and the search begins again. That's because happiness has never been something to find, it's something to nurture from within. The idea that happiness exists outside of you is one of the greatest illusions of life. You can travel the world, earn money, build success, and surround yourself with people, but if you haven't built peace inside, you'll always feel something missing. The truth is, happiness starts with self-acceptance, with the decision to love yourself as you are, not as you think you should be. It starts when you stop waiting for life to be perfect and begin to see the perfection in the imperfection. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about finding contentment even when things aren't complete. True happiness grows from gratitude because gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's already here. It's a simple act of saying, I have enough even when the world tells you otherwise. It's realizing that you already possess more than you give yourself credit for. The air you breathe, the people you love, the opportunities to grow, the lessons you've learned through pain. Gratitude is like sunlight for the soul. It helps happiness grow even in the darkest seasons. When you take a moment each day to notice what's good, something changes inside you. You begin to see that happiness was never missing, it was just waiting to be acknowledged. Happiness also begins when you stop seeking validation from others. So many people tie their sense of worth to approval, to likes, compliments, or recognition. But happiness that depends on others is fragile because it can be taken away as quickly as it's given. The moment you rely on external sources for your peace, you hand over control of your emotions. The real power comes when you find joy that doesn't need permission to exist. When you can look at yourself and say, I am enough, regardless of what the world thinks, you become free. Creating happiness is a practice, not a moment. It's something you build day by day, thought by thought. It's choosing kindness over anger, gratitude over complaint, presence over worry. It's about paying attention to the moments you often overlook, the warmth of sunlight on your face, a conversation that makes you laugh, the sound of rain, or even the quiet after a long day. Happiness is in those small moments, but you have to be still enough to see them. Too often, people move so fast chasing something bigger that they miss the beauty of what's already in front of them. Another truth is that happiness has nothing to do with a life free of problems. Everyone faces challenges, heartbreaks, and disappointments. What separates those who remain joyful is their perspective. Happiness doesn't come from avoiding pain, it comes from learning through it. Every difficult experience holds a hidden lesson, and once you see that pain is part of growth, you stop resisting it so much. Happiness and pain can exist together, they are not opposites. In fact, your capacity to experience joy often deepens after you've known sorrow. It's easy to believe that happiness will arrive when life feels perfect, but that belief only leads to endless waiting. Perfection doesn't exist. There will always be something unfinished, something uncertain. But happiness doesn't need perfection, it needs presence. When you accept that life will always have ups and downs, and that you can still find joy within that imperfection, you start to experience true peace. Happiness comes when you live fully in the present moment, instead of clinging to the past or worrying about the future. Right here, right now, is where happiness lives. Self-acceptance plays a huge role in creating lasting happiness. When you're at war with yourself, no amount of external success can bring peace. But when you start to accept your flaws, your past, and your humanity, you begin to relax into life. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing, it means you stop rejecting who you are in this moment. You realize you can love yourself and still strive to become better. That kind of self-love becomes the foundation for every other kind of happiness. When you understand that happiness is something you create, you stop blaming others for how you feel. You stop waiting for someone else to fix what's inside you. You take responsibility for your own peace. You learn that no matter what happens around you, you can choose how you respond. That choice, how you react, what you focus on, and how you speak to yourself determines your happiness more than any circumstance ever could. The more you practice creating happiness from within, the stronger it becomes. You realize you don't need constant excitement or achievement to feel alive. You don't need every situation to go your way to be content. You find joy in simply being, in noticing, in appreciating. Life stops being something you need to control and becomes something you can simply experience. So stop searching for happiness in things that can't last. The job, the relationship, the success, they can add to your joy, but they can't be the source of it. The source is you. It's in your gratitude, your acceptance, your willingness to see beauty in the ordinary. When you choose to see life as a gift, happiness naturally follows. It's not found, it's made. And the moment you realize that, you stop chasing happiness and start creating it one grateful breath at a time. Real happiness doesn't mean you never feel pain, it means you can find peace even in difficult times. Life isn't meant to be free of struggle, sadness, or disappointment. Pain is a part of existence, and trying to avoid it only makes it grow stronger. Real happiness comes when you stop fighting what you feel and begin to understand that every emotion, joy, sorrow, anger, love, fear, has a purpose. It's about embracing the full spectrum of your humanity instead of wishing only for the pleasant parts. When you learn to sit with your emotions without judgment, you discover that peace isn't the absence of pain, it's the ability to remain calm and grounded in the middle of it. Many people confuse happiness with constant positivity. They believe that being happy means smiling all the time, avoiding sadness, or pretending everything is fine even when it's not. But that kind of happiness is fragile because it depends on denial. True happiness doesn't require you to ignore your pain. It asks you to face it with courage. It's about looking at your wounds, understanding them, and realizing that they don't define your worth. It's about knowing that feeling lost or broken doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. When life becomes difficult, your instinct might be to run away from pain, distract yourself, or numb the feelings that hurt. But peace isn't found in escape, it's found in acceptance. When you stop resisting what's happening and start allowing yourself to experience it fully, something changes inside you. The pain doesn't vanish immediately, but it loses its power over you. You begin to see that your emotions are just passing visitors, not permanent residents. You are not your pain, you are the awareness that sees it, feels it, and learns from it. There's beauty in allowing yourself to feel deeply. The same heart that breaks from sorrow is the heart that expands with love. You can't close yourself off from pain without also closing yourself off from joy. The depth of your happiness often mirrors the depth of your pain because both come from the same place, the ability to feel. When you allow yourself to experience sadness, you also open the door to greater compassion, understanding, and appreciation for life. Pain teaches you to value peace. It shows you what truly matters. Real happiness is rooted in resilience. It's not about living a perfect life, it's about finding balance in an imperfect one. It's the quiet strength that allows you to keep going, even when the world feels heavy. It's the inner voice that whispers, you'll get through this. Even when everything seems uncertain, every storm passes. And when it does, you realize that you've grown stronger, wiser, and more grounded. That's what real happiness feels like, not constant excitement, but quiet endurance, gentle gratitude, and faith in yourself. Happiness also grows when you stop judging your emotions as good or bad. Every feeling you experience carries a message. Anger may be telling you that something is unfair. Sadness may be showing you what you've lost or what you value deeply. Fear may be reminding you to protect yourself. When you start seeing emotions as teachers instead of enemies, you begin to live with more self-awareness and peace. You realize that emotions aren't problems to be solved, they're signals to be understood. There will be moments in life when you feel broken, when your heart aches, and nothing seems to make sense. In those moments, it's easy to think happiness is out of reach. But those moments are also where true happiness begins to form, not from avoiding pain, but from finding meaning in it. Pain often cracks you open so that light can enter. It teaches humility, empathy, and the importance of being kind to yourself and to others. Once you've walked through your own darkness, you understand others more deeply, and that connection becomes a source of peace. Happiness doesn't mean life is easy. It means you've learned how to stay grounded when it's not. It means you know that feelings come and go, but your ability to stay centered remains. It's being able to sit quietly with yourself and say, even though I'm hurting, I am still whole. That's a kind of peace no one can take away from you. It's the realization that you can carry both joy and pain in your heart at the same time and still move forward. Real happiness also grows from forgiveness, especially forgiveness toward yourself. Pain often lingers because you hold on to guilt, regret, or the belief that you should have done better. But self-blame only deepens suffering. Forgiveness sets you free. It allows you to release the past and return to the present moment where life is happening now. In that space of release, happiness quietly returns. It's not loud or dramatic, it's calm, gentle, and deeply comforting. Life will always bring challenges. No one escapes loss, failure, or heartbreak. But happiness doesn't depend on eliminating pain, it depends on learning how to live with it gracefully. It's the ability to find moments of stillness in chaos, to see light in darkness, and to keep your heart open even after it's been hurt. Pain may visit, but it doesn't have to stay. You can welcome it, learn from it, and then let it go. In the end, happiness isn't about constant smiles or unshakable joy. It's about authenticity. It's being real enough to feel everything, the highs and the lows, the beauty and the sorrow, and still choose peace. It's about realizing that life isn't meant to be perfect, it's meant to be lived. And within that living, through all its ups and downs, you find a quiet, unbreakable joy, the kind that stays with you no matter what. Happiness is built through perspective. It's not always about what happens to you, it's about how you choose to see it. The way you look at life shapes the way you experience it. Two people can live through the same situation, yet one feels miserable while the other finds peace. The difference isn't luck or circumstance, it's perspective. Happiness begins when you shift your focus from what's wrong to what's right, from what's missing to what's already here. It's a simple change in thought, but it transforms everything you see. The mind is powerful, and it often decides whether you feel fulfilled or empty. When you constantly focus on what you don't have, you create a sense of lack. You start to believe your life is incomplete until something changes. But that belief traps you in a cycle of waiting for the next achievement, the next purchase, or the next person to finally make you feel happy. Yet every time you get what you thought you needed, the feeling fades, and you start chasing the next thing. True happiness doesn't come from getting everything you want. It comes from appreciating what you already have. When you learn to focus on what's right, you begin to see life differently. Even small things, the warmth of sunlight, a kind word, a moment of laughter become reasons to feel joy. Gratitude turns ordinary days into blessings. It's not that life suddenly becomes perfect. It's that your awareness of the good becomes stronger than your attention to the bad. You realize that there's always something to be thankful for, no matter how hard things get. And the more you practice gratitude, the more happiness grows naturally without forcing it. Perspective isn't about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about seeing the full picture. Every difficulty holds a lesson. Every failure carries growth. And every ending opens a door to something new. When you focus only on what went wrong, you get stuck in disappointment. But when you ask, what can I learn from this? You take back your power. Suddenly, pain isn't just pain, it's progress. Perspective turns. Obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. So much of unhappiness comes from comparison. When you look at others and measure your life against theirs, you automatically focus on what you lack. You forget that every person's journey is different, that what they have might not even bring you joy. Perspective allows you to step back and say, my path is my own. It reminds you that your timeline, your experiences, and your challenges are shaping you in unique ways. When you stop comparing and start appreciating, happiness feels lighter, more natural, more yours. Choosing the right perspective also means being mindful of your thoughts. The mind tends to magnify problems and overlook blessings. It's easy to let one bad moment overshadow everything that's good. You can have 10 things go right and one thing go wrong, and your mind will cling to the one. But when you consciously shift your focus, when you pause and remind yourself of the good, you train your mind to see life differently. Over time, positivity becomes less of an effort and more of a habit. You begin to live with an awareness that even in chaos, there is something to be grateful for. Perspective builds emotional strength. It allows you to see beyond temporary pain and trust that better days are ahead. When something goes wrong, you can choose to see it as the end or as a turning point. It's your perspective that determines whether a challenge breaks you or shapes you. Every moment offers a choice to dwell in bitterness or to rise with understanding. When you start to see struggles as teachers, happiness becomes deeper. It's no longer dependent on everything going your way, but on how you respond when it doesn't. Life is full of uncertainty, and no one can control every outcome. But perspective gives you freedom even in moments you can't change. It's the voice inside that says, this is hard, but it's not the end. It's choosing to look for the lesson, the strength, or even the simple fact that you survived something you didn't think you could. That realization brings peace, a peace that isn't shaken by circumstances because it comes from within. Happiness through perspective is about finding meaning, not perfection. When you focus on what's right, you stop needing everything to go your way. You start to see beauty in imperfection, value in simplicity, and hope in uncertainty. Even difficult days begin to carry purpose because you recognize that everything is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. You begin to understand that happiness isn't a constant feeling, it's a way of seeing. Sometimes perspective is simply about slowing down. When you rush through life, constantly chasing what's next, you overlook what's already beautiful. But when you pause to notice the laughter of a loved one, the softness of the wind, the sound of your own breath, you realize happiness was never far away. It was just waiting for your attention. The more you notice, the more grateful you become, and gratitude is the foundation of lasting joy. Ultimately, happiness built through perspective doesn't depend on perfect circumstances. It comes from within, from the quiet strength of acceptance and the choice to see. Life with open eyes and an open heart, it's not about denying the darkness, it's about recognizing the light that still shines within it. When you train your mind to see blessings where others see burdens, to find hope where others see despair, you become unshakable. You carry your happiness with you, no matter where life takes you. The world won't always change to make you happy, but you can change how you see the world. That's where true happiness begins. It's a decision, a practice, and a perspective. When you choose to see what's right, what's beautiful, and what's possible, joy naturally follows. It doesn't arrive with perfect conditions, it grows with gratitude, one thought at a time. Comparison destroys happiness. The more you measure your life against others, the more you disconnect from your own blessings. It's one of the most silent yet powerful ways people rob themselves of peace. Without even realizing it, you start looking at what others have, their success, their looks, their possessions, their relationships, and suddenly what you have feels smaller. It's not that your life got worse, it's that your perspective shifted. You stopped seeing your life for what it truly is and began seeing it through the lens of comparison. That's when happiness starts to fade, replaced by a quiet dissatisfaction that no amount of achievement can fill. The truth is, comparison is endless. There will always be someone who seems happier, richer, smarter, or more successful. You could have everything you once wished for, and the moment you compare it to someone else's version of success, it can feel like it's not enough. That's the trap of comparison. It doesn't allow you to celebrate your own progress because you're too busy measuring it against someone else's timeline. It tells you that you're behind, that you're missing something, that you should be somewhere else by now. But happiness doesn't live in should. It lives in acceptance, in being at peace with where you are and trusting that your journey is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. When you compare, you lose sight of your blessings. The moments, people, and achievements that once made you grateful start to look ordinary when placed next to someone else's highlight reel. Social media makes this even harder. You scroll through perfect photos, edited smiles, and curated success, stories, and you start believing that everyone else is living a better life. But what you see is only a fraction of reality. You don't see the struggles, the insecurities, or the pain behind the scenes. You only see what people choose to show. Comparing your reality with someone else's illusion will always leave you feeling unfulfilled. Happiness, on the other hand, grows when you look inward instead of outward. When you start focusing on your own journey, your own progress, and your own pace, life begins to feel lighter. You start noticing how far you've come instead of how far you have left to go. You begin to realize that your story is yours for a reason, that your timing, your experiences, and even your setbacks are shaping you into someone stronger and more aware. You learn that life isn't a race, and there's no single definition of success. The moment you accept that your path is unique, peace starts to take root. You no longer feel the pressure to compete with anyone because you understand that no one else can live your life. You stop chasing validation and start seeking meaning. You begin to live more authentically, making choices based on what feels right for you, not what looks good to others. That's when happiness becomes real, when it's no longer tied to comparison but to alignment with your true self. It's important to remember that everyone has their own struggles, no matter how perfect their life looks from the outside. The person you envy for their success might be longing for peace. The one you admire for their confidence might be battling insecurity. Everyone is fighting unseen battles, just like you. When you realize that, comparison starts to lose its power. You see that no one's life is as effortless as it appears, and that every journey has both light and shadow. That understanding brings compassion for others and for yourself. Gratitude is the antidote to comparison. When you start appreciating what's already in your life, the people who care about you, the progress you've made, the small joys you experience every day your focus shifts. Gratitude reminds you that happiness doesn't come from having more, but from noticing more. It's not about counting what you lack, it's about recognizing what you have. Every time you choose gratitude over comparison, you strengthen your sense of contentment. You start to see your life as a gift rather than a competition. The danger of comparison is that it blinds you to your own growth. You could be becoming wiser, kinder, more resilient, but if you're too busy looking sideways, you won't see it. Growth is quiet. It doesn't always look like big achievements or public recognition. Sometimes it's as simple as learning to forgive, to let go, to stay calm where you once would have reacted. That kind of progress can't be measured against anyone else's. It's personal and it's powerful. When you start valuing inner growth as much as external success, happiness begins to deepen. Accepting your unique journey means trusting the pace of your life. There's a rhythm to everything. Seasons of growth, seasons of waiting, seasons of renewal. Just because your season looks different from someone else's doesn't mean you're behind. Sometimes the quiet moments where nothing seems to be happening are the most important ones. They're the times when you're growing internally, preparing for what's next. When you trust that, you stop rushing. You stop feeling the need to prove yourself, and you start finding joy in simply being where you are. Happiness comes from that acceptance, from realizing that you don't need to be like anyone else to live a beautiful life. Your path may twist and turn. It may look nothing like what you imagined, but it's yours. Every mistake, every detour, every triumph is part of the story that's shaping you. When you learn to embrace that, comparison fades and appreciation takes its place. You start to celebrate others' success without feeling small because you know their journey doesn't diminish yours. In the end, happiness isn't about having more than someone else. It's about being at peace with yourself. It's about waking up each day and knowing that your life, with all its imperfections, is still worth loving. When you stop comparing and start living, you reconnect with your blessings. You find beauty in your flaws, purpose in your challenges, and joy in your own growth. Happiness doesn't come from standing in someone else's light. It comes from realizing you already have your own.